About 3 years ago, I started Biblecast, and I wanted to defend the Bible and teach the Bible as well. Shortly thereafter, I started going over the road in a truck and really was not conducive to creating Biblecast videos. And after about a year over the road, I got a local job, and so been doing that for about a year. That's where I've been. And finally, now I'm getting around to making videos again. So some of the time it was equipment problems, time problems, whatever. There's a lot of stuff going on there. About a year and a half ago, I started really intently studying Genesis 1. I wanted to come up with a cosmology that was consistent. What is the darkness? What does that represent? There's spiritual applications, but I think the darkness represents actual forces of nature. And so I wanted to learn Hebrew to see, all right, what meanings can I derive from this word? What can I learn from this word? And then I came across a YouTube video that talked about that each Hebrew letter has a meaning. I said, well, that's interesting. Maybe there is some underlying message that explains better the cosmology. Maybe it explains in more detail. I began studying Hebrew, and I started putting this together. These words, letters, what they meant, and into sentences. And what I found out was that, nope, it's not showing in more detail creation, not at all. In fact, it's showing a lot more through the history or prophecy. Depending on when this was written, it could have had both, or all of it could have been prophecy. I've been studying the first verse of Genesis and a little bit into the second verse for the last 5 months. Lots of information in there. I was also learning Hebrew, but every time I try to progress after, and continue, I'm just drawn back to the first verse. I learn something new about Hebrew, and so I go back, I learn root words and stuff like that, and so I can break down these words in Hebrew down and fully unpack all the meanings that are packaged within these words. And I don't know if you'll be able to fully appreciate what I've discovered there, but it's almost like the Hebrew language was created to encapsulate all this knowledge that can be both scientifically applicable, but also spiritually applicable and historically applicable and prophetically applicable, all contained within these Hebrew words. And their arrangement in their sentence order allows them to tell stories, underlying stories. For instance, I'm going to show in a future video how the story of the flood is encapsulated in just the first verse, and also the story of the Exodus is in there as well. I'm going to show you in verse 2 how it shows a description of the crucifixion and how that correlates from Revelation. It says he was slain from the foundation of the world. When we look at the foundation of the world, we see a description of the crucifixion. One thing that's been very interesting to me is that going back to the Hebrew has really strengthened my faith in Christ, because he is woven into the very fabric of Hebrew and the fabric of the Old Testament, especially all in there in the first couple of verses. And I'm only to about verse 3 when it comes to this stuff, and I'm still learning a lot of Hebrew. But what I've found so far is just a lot of stuff centering around both Israel and especially the Son of God. And I believe the Son of God to be Jesus Christ, because all the descriptions in there point to the man Jesus Christ. So that's what I've been doing for the last 5 months. And I want to share these with you.